How's it going, Andrew?
What's going on, Matt?
Not much. What have you been up to?
Oh, not much. Just dealing with all this snow. I've shoveled 5 times.
See, I didn't have anywhere to be on Saturday, so Friday night I poured a glass of whiskey, I watched the snow fly, and then I woke up Saturday morning and took care of it then.
Do you have a snowblower?
I do. I had to replace the carb on it this year to get it going, and it's a little bit out of adjustment, but I haven't wanted to sit in my garage and freeze to adjust it right, so it was running a little bit funny, but it got the job done.
Yeah, I don't have a snowblower yet, but I'm telling you, after this weekend, never again. Before next season, I have to get a snowblower.
Ooh.
I can't shovel this driveway. It takes 3 hours of just manual, just like,
Welcome to being a homeowner.
And all my neighbors have snowblowers, and they just watch me. They just watch me shoveling, and they're like, that young man's so spry. Look at him go. He's shoveling his driveway manually.
Yep. I mean, I don't bust out the snowblower unless I absolutely need to, but it's a little one. But it got the job done with that light, fluffy stuff. So
my neighbor's like really into snowblowing. Like that's like their hobby. Like they have like big snowblowers, and they have like uniforms. I swear, like snowblowing uniforms that they put on. And I shoveled my neighbor's sidewalk once, and he got pissed at me, and he like started yelling at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm shoveling for you. I'm a nice guy." And he's like, you ever think I like doing that? That I like shoveling and using my snowblower? And I go, "Well, it's already done, so next time I won't." But
next time I won't touch it. Like, you're welcome.
Yeah, I was like, too late. I'm already done. I drink. When I shovel, sometimes, especially on a weekend, I'll have whiskey while doing it because it takes 3 hours. And I was like, once I get the whiskey going, I just start shoveling everyone's driveways. It's fine.
Well, my old house, I used to, if I had to bust out the snowblower and the block hadn't been done yet, I would do the entire block. It's a little harder at the new house being on a hill. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how, and the block is like really long, so I'm not sure how much up and over the hill and down the other side and back up I want to so yeah, but we should probably get to our guest.
I will hit the music and we will kick it off.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
All right. Well, we got some very special guests here today. Matt, would you like to do some introductions?
Well, I was going to let them introduce themselves to make it easier on us all.
So we can tell which voice with what name. I get that.
Yeah,
perfect.
that would make sense as well. Kevin, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Kevin Parins. I am a senior warden right now at Ozaukee, Lodge 17, and I guess Dave.
Yeah, I'm Dave Traxel. I just did a day of light last weekend, but even though I've been with Mason since 19, but I finally finished it, and I am also with Lodge 17 in Ozaukee.
Sweet.
Oh, so you saw us do our MM degree if you were there last weekend.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I did.
And then, Kevin, you're a past master of Ozaukee as well, right?
I am.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Andrew, you get to actually try to ask the question later and not flub it this time.
I'll flub it. So, to start, what got you guys into Masonry? And what keeps you here? That's what I'd like to ask.
Wow. Okay. Well, we all have our different stories, but mine has to do with my daughter. So my daughter is partially deaf. She is also dyslexic, and when she was growing up, she fell a few years behind in reading, and we started looking into it and thought maybe she was dyslexic, but nobody would do the test.
Okay.
Because she had the hearing issue, and then the Scottish Rite got it, got involved.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we got in touch with them, and they had us bring her in. They said we're not sure how it's going to work, but they came back and said, "Yep, she's definitely dyslexic," and enrolled her in the program. And she was in, I think, 18 months and caught up in reading. And I'm like, I'm going to look into these guys a little bit.
That's right.
And so I did, and eventually became a Mason.
Right. Yeah, the Scottish Rite Dyslexia Center does some amazing work.
Yeah, and as a person who's dyslexic, I love that they have those centers, because like the key to dyslexia is honestly it's just extra time you have to put into like kind of retraining your brain to do the job correctly. And so it's like it's a very fixable problem. It just requires time investment,
Right. And proper instruction.
True that. Yeah. But that's my story, but now it's so much more.
So what keeps you at Masonry?
Well, I'm big into the charity thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie, I love ritual, and
Right on.
so I try to learn as much as I can. I've done lectures. I'm conferring the EA now, and so I love doing that and love like bringing more guys in,
Right.
you know, and seeing them grow. So that it just keeps it exciting.
Sure.
Solid stuff.
Same question to you. What brought you into Freemasonry?
Kevin. Yeah. It was like 2018. He first brought it up, and you kind of, it's just like, and then 19. I started I went through the first degree, so I became an EA, and then when COVID hit,
yeah.
that shut everything down. And then in that time, you kind of lose focus, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking about getting into it again, and then my mother-in-law got sick and passed away. So then at that same time, my wife got sick, and she almost passed away.
Oh, jeez.
So between that, I told him, and I go, and he agreed. He goes, I'll give you time. And I joined because he was so patient,
Right.
which means a lot. So my wife's been solid for the last 2 years, and he brought it up again. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Sweet.
And what I appreciate, all he said was, cool. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
it's easy because, you go through a lot.
Yeah.
It's just easy.
Yeah, family always comes first, in Freemasonry and stuff like that. I think that's important. And, obviously you did a great job exemplifying that in the fact that you weren't trying to push them to keep going.
Yeah.
And, I've always been a big proponent of Freemasonry finds you when you're ready.
Yeah.
And in that moment where it is going to be its most beneficial to you as well.
Exactly.
So,
Well, and the nice thing about the fraternity is that it's truly a lifelong fraternity. So you really don't have to rush, because it's about the journey, not the destination. So you don't have to sit there and be like, if I don't get all this done, it's like, well, it's always here. It'll just be waiting for you when you're ready to move on to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
it's good practice to be patient with that stuff, especially when there's such life challenges sitting there. There's no point in stressing out more about something
Right.
else when you're already a brother when you're an apprentice anyway. So.
Right.
So, how do you guys think Freemasonry has inspired you outside of just going to lodge meetings? What has inspired you about the craft?
Well, I would say the core values really talk to me, because before I was a Freemason, and I hate to bring this up before you guys introduce it, but I was already a part of the Guardians of the Children, so their core values match, I would say, or pretty much are close. And so Freemasonry to me inspires me because I'm living those core values every day already, and all I have to do is just keep doing the work I'm doing, and I'm becoming a better Mason.
Right.
So
No, that's awesome. And I mean, let's just jump right into it. Which is perfect. That was a great segue.
Sorry
actually.
about that.
No, you're perfect. That is totally fine. So you brought up Guardians of the Children. So let's start with the basic mission and how long the organization's been around. Maybe is it international at this point, or is it?
It is.
It is. Okay. So yeah, just give us some backstory about GOC.
Yeah, and what is it for our listeners who might not be familiar with it? Yeah.
So the Guardians of the Children is a biker organization dedicated to protecting abused children. And I would give you I don't think I want to give you the canned mission, but basically we offer our services to assist the children as they go through the court process. So when they have to stand or sit in front of a courtroom full of people they don't know, they'll see us there, and we'll have a relationship with them already. So it's more likely they'll tell their story. But then it goes on further from there. We do monthly kids events, and the kids get to hang out with other kids who've gone through similar situations. And we do that till they're 18. And then they have the opportunity to join our mission.
Right.
But what's really cool about the events is you can see these kids, you don't even know which ones are abused kids and which ones aren't, because we adopt a whole family.
Right.
So, but it's basically a long-term commitment to a child who was a victim.
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
Awesome. And you guys, how many? So is there 2 chapters in Wisconsin now?
There's 5 chapters.
5 chapters
Yes.
in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. I fell behind on keeping up on how many there were.
Yeah, but But we're the Milwaukee area one, and we do, my God, how many counties now?
7.
7 counties we take care
Okay.
of.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big area.
It
Yeah.
is, but we have, what, 80 members?
Yeah, we have a lot of people
Holy
though.
cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good roster. And you guys have been around for what? It's got to be going on like 10 years now.
2014 is when we started.
Yeah.
So we just did our 10-year anniversary.
Okay, right on. Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when kind of all that was going on, and stuff was starting up. So you guys do you guys know how many chapters there are worldwide at all?
Oh man, that keeps
there's 9.
changing.
Yeah, it changes a lot, but there's like 9 in Canada.
Okay.
And I think in the States, there must be 62 maybe.
Holy cow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it, like you said, they're growing, starting, stopping. So it's constantly changing, but it's got to be in, around 60s.
Okay. So, and you guys are going on about 11 years old. How old is Guardians of the Children as a whole?
Yeah, so it started in 2006 in San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Texas. Yeah.
So we're a year away from. So every 2 years we do a international rally, and so we're a year away. So 2026 we're gonna have our 20-year in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Right on.
So that should be cool.
That'll be really cool. Actually, I love Texas. I love going down there.
So how do you guys think the principles of Freemasonry cross over with the Guardians of the Children? In what way do you think that they synergize together?
So the core values of the Guardians of the Children are valor, truth, and integrity. And so, I mean, right there, you already know one of those words is in ours. Our
Right.
brotherly love,
Yeah.
belief, and truth.
Yeah.
And so it just makes sense. They fit together. And brotherly love is not in ours, in the GOC's core values, but we call ourselves brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
We wear the same patch. We
Right.
have the same ideals, and so I would say it meshes really well.
No,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. And obviously, GOC is dedicated to making its community a better place, which, and being visible in the community. So that fits right along with, I mean, they fit hand in hand,
Right.
honestly.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
What would you guys say the day in the life of a Guardian is? Like, what does it look like to be a member of the GOC?
Ooh, that's tough because there's so many different roles in the GOC. I'd say from a liaison standpoint. So we have child liaisons, and they're the point of contact with the families. It wouldn't be a daily thing, but once a week ish, they check in with the families, make sure everything's okay, that they don't have, they don't need anything. So they do that, and then they report to a coordinator, a child liaison coordinator, and then that person reports up to the officers. So, but they also go to court. So, like this week, I don't think we have anything, but in 2 weeks, we have a trial. One of our kids may end up going on the stand. It's a 3-day trial, so there'll be jury selection and then her testifying at some point and all that. So it's different every week, but those are some of the things it includes.
right.
So-
And then you guys all use your road names pretty much exclusively with the kids, right? And the kids
Yeah.
all get a road name as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I was helping somebody set up their email today at our meeting, and his name's Teflon, right? That's his road name, and our emails are by our legal name,
Okay.
and so I'm sitting here going, like help me out, he tells me his name. I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. So then I was able to help him out. But, so we end up knowing the road name more than their real names. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
But we do that with the kids too, so that there's nobody knows who we're talking about if they were to overhear a conversation.
Right. Which makes sense. I mean, that's a very smart way to handle it.
Yeah, and it's also I think that's cool because it's a fun mix between being kind of fun for the kid to come up with their road name, but then also practical from an anonymity standpoint to be I think, what you guys do is so interesting because even just picking a road name, I bet helps raise a kid's confidence where they're
Because he gets to pick his own.
Yep, where he's like, maybe I'd be scared, but not, Nighthawk wouldn't be scared. And you're so Nighthawk's going to get in there. And I think that's a cool idea. And I think it, it makes sense.
Yeah. I feel bad when I have to tell a kid that they can't have a road name, like it's, 40 letters long, and I'm like, I can't fit that on a patch, So, but no, it's really cool to see them pick their road names. It's awesome.
For sure. And then they get a vest and everything. They become part of the group essentially, right? Well, they do become part of the group. So.
Yeah, they do actually. So we have an adoption ceremony. So when a kid comes in, we have this party, and they get what we call a courage bear. So that's the first thing I think they get. Yeah, the courage bear. So we pass this bear around the room, and each of our members hugs the bear to fill it with courage. And then that's where we introduce ourselves. So we hug it and tell them what our road name is. And then we give it to them, and we tell them, hey, when you're feeling like you need some courage, give this bear a hug, use some of that courage we just put in there, and we'll come out and fill it up again when it's out of courage.
And even during that, we give them the chance that if we don't think they squeezed it enough, because right away, you're trying to give them courage. So if somebody doesn't do what they think is a squeeze, it's like, Judge, do it again. So then it goes back, and then they start laughing. So right away, they're starting to bond with us. Like the moment that starts, you can sense they're getting confident. They're still scared, but you can sense things are already starting to change a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, but they get that, and then they get a vest. It has its own patch. It says "Little Guardian" on it, and then they get a marble, because we do what is called a marble check, and all members have to have a marble on them at all times. It's a symbol of our commitment to the child, and it takes place. This challenge, I guess, takes place even when we're not wearing our vests. So somebody could, see you at a store or something and say, "You got your marble on you?" And you're like, "Oh no, I don't."
He's got his marble.
We always have a marble. Always.
Yeah, I got mine right here. But basically, if you get caught without it, you have to pay $1 for each member that does have a marble in attendance. So it can get pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they get that, and then a picture of the chapter, and that's their thing.
So how do these children who have been, unfortunately victims of something, how do they reach out? Like, how do they get, lined up with the GOC?
So it could be anything. We get messages on our Facebook page. We'll get calls. We have a hotline that we'll get calls there. We get referrals from some of the advocate groups. So it could be any of that. And they reach out, and then I have a conversation with the parent or guardian. And then if it fits our mission, then we move on to the next step.
How does law enforcement and the court system and stuff, are they all pretty on board with what you guys are doing, I'm assuming?
I would say yes. We definitely get recognized in the courthouse a lot. And when we do certain things, like we've done security for one family in particular, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the cops were coming and checking on us, actually, because we were outside the house for 24 hours for, 5 days?
Yeah.
5 days straight. So
Yeah.
the cops were coming by. They were checking on us, making sure everything was going all right. So, we get in good with them.
It's a good partnership.
Yes, it is.
There's a little story to that where I used to work. A friend of mine, his wife, works at the courthouse. And she made a comment that the first time she saw us there, nobody knew who, because we were brand new.
Right.
So she didn't really understand, and, bikers, it's just like, he goes, and now when we go in there, they feel great, because now they know a child is something's going on with a child.
Right.
And so like the police, the first time we went there, we got wand. We had to go through. It's like you would have thought that we were military. Now they tell us what room to go to.
Nice.
Yeah, when we were on the newer side, we ended up doing a case up in Fond du Lac, and half of our group went in on one side of the building, half went on the other, and they called in extra cops because they thought there were two biker gangs that were going to fight at the courthouse. But
the rumor was SWAT was even on the way, because there was 50 of us, and there's 25 on each end.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
So their metal detector there is actually because of us, because they didn't have one when we went there.
Jeez. And now they're just like, oh yeah, those guys. best.
Yeah. So now when you go up to officer, because I do like going up to them and thanking them for what they do because they do something like I don't want to do.
Right.
But now, last couple of years, they say thank you for what you do. I mean, so now we're getting it back.
Right.
Which is nice, because it's never been, it hasn't always been that way.
Right. Right.
So it's great.
And I can imagine it definitely taking a couple of years before like the name got out and before people realized what the mission was, because from an outside perspective, it's such a strange concept, but it's brilliant in its own way, right? That you're like, oh, some burly bikers are going to come in. What are they here for? They're like, they're guardians of the children. And you're like, what does that mean? And they're like, well, they come in and when you start to understand what the goal is and like stuff like that, you start to be like, wow, kind of a good idea. Not to stereotype all predators, but they're cowards. So, like, having, some burly guys just being like, hey, and I think it can't be understated how important just that confidence building is for those children to be like, because, like, a lot of that, they're not mentally able to really comprehend, and just having, like, a support like that could be huge for, especially not only helping them mentally, but also having them get justice as well.
Right. Like this one meeting we went to at Waukesha County in our courthouse, and there were 3 women on the other side, and we were on the other side of the table, and they were all asking us questions. And the question I asked, the lady looked at it, she goes, why would you want to do something like this? And it's just like, it takes a second. It's just like, holy man, because we're still new. Right. You don't get questions. And it's like, I think I was like, why wouldn't I want to? Right. And then she's just like, she goes, well, you're bikers, and then you're volunteer. He goes, you volunteer your time. I'm like, yeah. I go, our services are free. We're 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And people need to realize that. And then when it took time for her, soaking in her, she's just like, wow. And then the other 2 ladies slide down. What do you say? What do you say? Because, why would you not want to do it? Not everybody can do it. But why would you want to do it?
Right. Well, and back to Andrew's point about like the concept of it being interesting, right? Like leather vest with patches on them in American culture.
Intimidation.
Intimidation and badassery and, all that kind of stuff. So now you throw that zeitgeist maybe, like behind a good cause, and it's like, okay, well, this just works.
It's paradoxical. It's a paradox.
Yeah.
So on top of the community service and work that you guys do, what is the experience like being a member? Is it only just, you're called together for, the various kids that need help, or do you guys like meet and do stuff outside as well? So is there a social aspect along with a mission aspect?
Yeah, there's the mission's going on all the time, right? So we're talking right now, and we have a group out at, what is it, Caddyville? Saukville. They're doing a meat raffle.
Oh,
right. So they're out doing that, and it's fundraising, but it's also social, right? Because you're hanging around, you're having a few drinks, whatever. So we are doing our mission constantly, but there's some, hey, let's meet here, and everybody's riding together. And when we have a poker run book that we put together, and I'm doing it this week, but we do Sunday Fun Days. So we actually have been posting it on the Ozaukee Freemason Facebook page, so that we can get a bunch of people out, and then we hit about 5 or 6 stops each Sunday, and so we're all over the place.
Sure.
So
that's spreading the word, because a lot of people, they don't know, and it's cool. It's a cool thing. When people come up to you and they want to know, and they thank you for it, that.
Well, and the social aspect of it is what gets that. We're walking billboards, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
The more social stuff we can do, the better.
It's similar to like how in the last couple of years the Grand Lodge has been saying, like, be visible, like get out in the community, like the thing is like you're visible in the courtrooms, but the whole public's not in that courtroom. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like the people who are directly affected will 100% know who you are.
Right.
And the lawyers will know who you are, the court process. But yeah, it's good to still get out in the community so people can see like, oh, who is this? And also just getting the recognition of what the patch looks like, so they see it and don't go, oh boy, they'll be in trouble right now. And then it's like, oh, those are the guardians of the, it helps build the brand out for you guys. Right. I feel like
totally does.
I have a fun crossover question here. Were you pres of the Hog City chapter before you were a Freemason?
I was.
Okay. What skills do you think you were able to bring from Freemasonry over to the leadership and just general day-to-day being a member of
You trying to put me in a trick
GOC?
bag right now?
No. I just like, I feel like there's so much crossover here, and then, you know, you get the self-improvement aspect of Freemasonry and the
100%.
learning aspect, that would cross over and actually improve what you were doing with GOC.
Yeah, so it goes both ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Dave can tell you, I used to be angry.
Yeah.
Angry as hell. So I would have our meetings and somebody would do something messed up and I would lose my mind. And I'll tell you, I'm much more calm when I have somebody who does something, you know, wrong that may tarnish the brand, right?
You're a lot more
that's
patient.
a huge
Right.
offense, right?
He's really patient.
I go into it having a conversation instead of yelling.
Right.
Right. And so I have become more understanding and patient
Big time.
with that. And I brought that from Freemasonry to the Guardians. Now, the other way, from Guardians to Freemasonry, we historically have done like January, February, March brat fries at our lodge.
Okay.
And I started to get people to think like, we're standing out here for 4 hours to go, oh my God, we made $100. And I'm like, that's not a good use of our time.
Right.
Like, we got to do something bigger, better. And so I brought our talent in the GOC for fundraising to our lodge. And now our current worshipful master we just had Sweethearts Night last night. And he had to have cleared $500-600 on that, and that's
at
his
least.
first dinner.
Oh,
And I'm like, dude, all right, you know,
There you
because before we'd be like, oh yeah, we broke even, yay,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and now we're going to be doing a golf outing coming up, and these are not things that we would have done a few years ago.
Right.
So there's crossover both ways.
Right on.
Well, I mean, and they're both two like mission-driven organizations, and you can tell they both have different cultures but similar values, right? And so I think it can be helpful, like the culture within a Mason Lodge and the way that they try to maintain harmony might be a different skill set than you would traditionally use in a motorcycle group. But there's can be value to knowing how to, when you see something work successfully in a lodge, you're like, you know, people just do like when you talk to them with respect. And you're like, and it can be helpful.
Oh,
you
big
know?
time. Big time.
And so, like, I think it can be really helpful because Masonry is really about, you know, tempering oneself, right? And finding, like, that core zero, like, that cool center. And in any leadership position, the guy who can be the coolest in the room, especially in leadership, is usually the most effective.
Yeah.
And so that can definitely be helpful. What would you guys say? What's one thing you wish more people would understand about the reality of child abuse and how? Yeah, it's a hard question time, and because you guys are close to it. And what's the best way that people can kind of, you know, deal with that issue when it might sadly, you know, come to their doorstep too?
Well, first I'll say that it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't only happen in one part of the city. Doesn't happen, you know, the demographics is across the board. But the thing that people have to understand is if they suspect something, they should report it, right? Because if they're wrong, that's fine. But if they're not, they could save a child's life.
Right.
So we encourage people, report. And we have, as an organization, had to report. And you know, sometimes it gets traction and sometimes it doesn't. But at least you can sleep saying, I did what I could.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to communities and talking to people. Well, we don't have that problem here. Yeah, you do. No, we don't. No, it's like, he goes, you guys being here tells everybody that we do. I go, because you do. It's just, you do. It's everywhere. I mean, we're never going to stop it, but if we can just help it, just help a kid, it's worth it.
Right. People like to put their blinders on to that.
Oh,
kind of
big
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, that was our biggest hang up when we started. Everybody was like this.
Right.
That's why it was hard for them to accept us. I mean, they still do now, but it's not near as bad.
It's almost like too then that your guys' brand and wearing the patches is also a reminder to people as well. Like if you see something, say something like this is here, or we wouldn't be here. So you also need to be, you know, vigilant and don't be dismissive of children who are acting, strange.
Right,
I know that's a
right.
big indicator. There's an unusual shift in personality, and it's like you need to be aware of the the dark truth that you need to be you need to take care of kids and keep your eyes open.
Well, I got a story for you because we have new members meetings, and I just brought up at the last one, but the last couple of years, I've had people in their 60s, 70s come up to me and thank me for what we're doing now, and because they were molested. So it's like not only do we helping kids now, we're kind of like the ones in the past has a release because the guy that told me that, I said I was the first one he ever told.
Yeah.
Which it's an honor that he could trust me. But it's just like, holy man. I mean, this guy just, the dark side.
Right.
So not only is it the past, present, it's, it's people from long ago where where they had nothing that have been coming up to me and other members and thanking us for what you do. And that's just kind of, the positive side of doing this because they're coming up and venting what they've had all these years in their lives.
You're getting disclosure from people who never
that never had it.
before,
Right.
Never built the confidence.
And
to do it.
that's actually a privilege that they trust me enough that it's an honor. It's
sure.
actually kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's an impressive side effect that I guess I would have never.
I never expected
Yeah.
it. Never.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something. It just comes out of the blue. I mean,
Right.
they just come right up to you and they talk to you like they've known you, and to tell you something like that. I mean, think
Right.
about that.
Yeah.
How hard that is for them.
Oh yeah.
But it's truly an honor wearing this badge.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you guys able to share a story, obviously maintaining anonymity and all the good stuff you guys do, that you really saw how impactful your organization was?
Oh, well, you see it all the time with the kids as they get more and more confident and all that kind of stuff. And I would say the one that sticks out in my mind is, well, no, Super Fox is my story. Each Guardian has a story. But seeing the impact of our organization, I would say, would be Black Thunder.
Oh, my God,
This is a kid, his sister was murdered, and then they were living in a house that, well, it wasn't livable. No electricity, no water, all that kind of stuff. So they got taken in by the state, and we got involved. And just seeing him open up, and if Steeler was here, he'd tell the story about he was at our camping event and started to sing Michael Jackson in front of all the members.
Super
and this
talented
is a kid.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't talk that much, and then he comes to our event and he's doing karaoke, and we're like, holy crap, look at this guy, he's grown so much. And then then that next winter he got up on the table and he wrote a rap for the Guardians.
He wrote a poem, he turned it into a rap right in front of us.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Absolutely incredible.
yeah, and so you see him grow, and I think that's where we can see the most impact from our work. So
Awesome.
So for our listeners, if anyone was interested in helping or supporting the Guardians of the Children, how do they get involved or how can they support you guys?
Well, there's several ways to support, right? So you can become a member. A full patch member has to prospect for a year and has to have access to a bike. Doesn't have to own a bike, right? So if somebody's sitting on the back seat and says, this is a calling for me, and has that access, they can join and become
And it doesn't
a full
have to
patch
be a
member.
Harley, it can just a bike.
Yep, they can become a member that way. And then we also have a support member, and that person does not have to have access to a bike. But they can reach out to us on our Facebook page. Just look up Guardians of the Children, Hog City, and that's HAWG City. And just send us a message and we'll give you all the details. Another way is our estimate on what it costs to take care of a kid each year is like between $1,000 and $2,000. So people can I don't want to say sponsor a child because we're not doing this the food thing, with the kids in Africa. And,
Right. For a penny a day.
Yeah.
But anybody can donate and help us with the kids by texting Guardians to 44321, and then it'll give a range of whatever somebody would want to donate. And they can donate a one time or monthly or whatever. It's there. They can choose what to do.
Awesome.
And that helps. Or if there's any corporate sponsorship, we like to get sponsors for our monthly events. Mm-hmm. And so there's those opportunities. So,
And there's always, of course, like your guys' soup and chili cook-offs and meat.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I was going to let you get on
March 8th at the Elks Lodge. I can't remember what the address is. It's like 53rd and Good Hope.
It's by my work. I've passed it a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
with the big elks.
Yeah. So March 8th is our annual soup cook-off. It's our biggest fundraiser. It's from noon to 5. There is at least, it's always over 100 soups.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's like $12 at the door. We have a money raffle. We have a 50-50. I saw the prizes today. There's some really cool prizes that we're going to do for silent auction and live auction. I think there's a couple brand new bikes that we're going to give away. But it's a great event, a lot of fun. And it's a lot of social stuff there.
That's my favorite event because our kids are there.
Right.
So if you're listening, bring your kids because obviously we will watch your kids while you can try their soups. And, we have activities for them to do to keep them preoccupied.
Awesome.
It is definitely a family-friendly event.
Okay.
And I said it's $12 to get in. It's $12 for adults. Kids are free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
That's
when
awesome.
you can actually get to see our littles running around with their little vests on. I mean, it's cool. I love it.
I'm gonna throw that on my Oh, hey, I actually have the day open this year. You guys might be able to see me. I know I haven't been able to make it the last couple of years.
No, it's something that it's incredible. It's pretty cool.
But yeah, last question I wanted, and it's the one I'm not supposed to flub up. Being a past master, what advice would you give? We ask this traditionally to any past master who comes on the show. What advice would you give to an incoming Worshipful Master, which will maybe be me next year, from your experience as a master sitting in the East? What advice would you give?
don't mess up. Nah, man, I would say do it your own way, but remember that there's tradition because for me, tradition's important. I love having the table lodge every year. I like having the ladies at the table, but I have to do my own thing, right? And don't worry about the old guys sitting on the side who are wearing the nice aprons. They're going to tell you messed up regardless of what you do. So, because I'm one of those guys now. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm looking at Brian,
Good luck.
our worshipful master, and I'm saying, what is he thinking? But you know what, though? I'm there to help him if he needs help. So that's the best thing I could say. I don't want to push any incoming master to do it my way.
Right.
Because it just wouldn't be genuine then. So
Agreed. And obviously, neither of us got it right the first time because
That's
we're
right.
both going.
yeah, right. Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, you didn't screw it up this time. I'm proud of you.
I added a bunch of extra words, but it got there.
Well, thanks, guys, for coming in. Really appreciate it. That was awesome. I've always been a fan of this organization that you guys are a part
That's
of.
cool.
And
Thank you.
So being involved in the motorcycling community, like I said, kind of alluded to earlier, I knew when all that stuff was going on for you guys to get up and running. I've always been a fan of the mission and everything else. And maybe if my schedule ever clears up a little bit, you guys will see a petition from me.
Cool. That'll
We'll
work.
be there.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming in. And to our listeners, just a reminder to always be sure to check us out on our socials. We're to be found basically anywhere you'd find us. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And if you have any questions about the Guardians of the Children, I will put a link in our description to their Facebook page so you can find them and always reach out if you have questions or if
Excellent.
you're interested.
Good idea on that.
Awesome.
Have a great one, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.